When you've talked about the use of medications, natural or synthetically produced, or substances like crystals to enhance your well-being or to heal something, you talk about such an overriding importance as your belief that they will work and that they will be of benefit. Well, what I'd like to know then is, why do they work for, say, pets or infants that would have no opinion one way or the other about them?
Or do they?
Well, that did kind of cross my mind. Is it my expectation of them working for them? But then that to me sounds like me creating in their reality.
Well, as usual, you've stirred a lot up here, because there are two primary factors. The power of influence is an important one, because when you hold someone as your object of attention in an attitude of positive expectation, then you do influence the vibration of their being. In other words, that's what all healers are about. So, and you can't disregard that. We are not saying, or ever would, that you create in someone else's reality, but there is a lot of vibrationally aligning with well-being and knowing it so clearly that you therefore influence another to it. There are those studies that they have provided for you when the doctor believes that it is not a placebo, but something that will be helpful. And there is more recovering under those conditions than when the doctor knows that what has been offered to you is a placebo. So let's just say, and be accurate when we say it, that anytime you believe something and what you believe is a vibrational match to this broader part of you, then that coming together, you've heard us say it in so many different ways, one who's connected to that broader non-physical knowing is more powerful and more influential than millions who are not. The reason that we teased with you in your first remark to us about a child or a pet who has been given a medicine and who therefore finds faster recovery as a result of it, and we say, how do you know that it had any effect, is because without anything being introduced, in an attitude of not contradiction, in other words, in an attitude of pure expectation, wellness always would occur.
Pure expectation by the deliverer of that medicine or the receiver of it?
Well, in the case of both is helpful, but in the case of the pet or the child that you were speaking of, if there is no negative beating of the drum, wouldn't the illness itself have caused an asking for a desire, and wouldn't an absence of resistance automatically mean wellness would be coming?
It would, but how do they know that they're sick? How does a pet know that it's sick, or how does an infant or a newborn know that it's sick?
Well, even a one-celled organism is having a comparative experience. In other words, everyone, from every perspective, whether it is an insect or a cell or a genius human, you're having your comparative experience, you see. There's so much to be discussed here. Then there's how did the child get sick to begin with, and what was the influence of that? And we just want to say to you, we are not guiding you away from medicine or away from anything. We are just wanting you to realize that there's a lot more to the story of creation than the action part of it. And when action, such as the medicine, comes on the heels of alignment, there is always much more dramatic positive response than if the medicine comes without any attempt at aligning energies. So come back around to the where you started here, and let's see if we have accomplished anything.
When the question first came to my mind, it was about, why does it seem that they affect wellness when they don't have an opinion of what's being given to them, medicine or something from a health food store or someone holding a crystal over their head? So then there's no way of really knowing what's causing what?
Well, the thing the basis, let's go back to what we were talking about earlier, about some things that you can always know. And when you start with that premise, then what occurs to you next will be something more basic that you can always rely on. So these things are always true. Wellness is the basis of your experience, and lack of wellness is the anomaly.
Right.
And so wellness is what is always in the vibrational reality calling you toward it. Now, if somehow, whether you are a pet or a child or an adult human, if somehow you get crossways of your well-being and are experiencing something less than that, you're experiencing the oddness of having somehow, through your attraction, maybe through influence of others. In other words, what influence of others really is an observation of something about them that sets up a vibration within you. And your pets, the longer they live with you, begin to act like you do vibrationally. Your babies can even begin to pick up things vibrationally in the womb. You can walk into a room and pick up on the vibration of a room. And depending upon where you give your attention or how strong the influence is, you begin to vibrate. Often, we're not encouraging it. We want you to begin to vibrate because you want to, not because you're just observing, but almost everyone offers more of their vibration in response to what they are observing. So, and that it's not such a bad thing because it gives you the basis from which you desire. Wherever you stand is the basis of what you're asking for. But let's say that this being, whoever it is, insect, child, dog, human, adult, has somehow got crossways of wellness, and so they're asking for it in a stronger way than before. That's the component that we want you to always factor in at the basis of your question. In their absence of wellness, whether it's a one-celled organism, in the absence of wellness, there is an understanding that something's off and that it should be otherwise. You just can't you can't step back from who you have become. And when you, in any moment in time, no matter who you are experiencing any kind of diminishment of who you are, there is a vibrational awareness of it, and therefore an asking for an improvement of it. So it's accurate to say the solution is sought and found at a vibrational level in the moment that the problem is acknowledged, or in the moment that the problem exists even not acknowledged. In other words, you've heard us say that when you ask, it is given, and we don't even ask you to ask with your words in a conscious verbal way. Life causes you to ask, and when you ask, you're always summoning the improvement. So now, as we're talking about therapy or medicine, now we're talking about something that helps in the soothing of the resistance. Now we're talking about the allowing part of the equation. And we want to emphasize that in the beast that you're talking about, or in the child, when there is asking that life causes to erupt, there is less attention that would have to be consciously given to allowing, because they are more naturally allowing.
So then, as an example, you have a newborn, days old, that is critically ill. The intervention that is provided then is, they've asked for that. Is that what I'm understanding? So they have vibrationally attracted their path of least resistance to well-being through those medicines or those interventions?
Well, they've asked for the recovery, and it's questionable whether they've asked for it through the path that medicine wants to deliver it, but it's usually accurate to say that anyone who is living something less than wellness is asking for it. It's also accurate to say that that energy coming into that body knew what they were coming for, and sometimes is wanting a more exaggerated experience, because the step one experience and the subsequent asking gets energy moving earlier on. But let's come back to the original proposition that you were making, or question that you were posing. In other words, speak it again from
Why do medicines work on people that don't know that they're receiving them or what they're getting?
So why would someone get sick without knowing that they are? Why would someone create cancer without knowing it?
Misalignment.
So
Misaligned thoughts.
why would someone get well without knowing it? Aligned thoughts.
Right.
So now where are we?
So it's their aligned thoughts then that bring them the intervention that they need to continue?
Well, as we were saying earlier, there are two factors always present, the power of desire and the power of aligning. So if you have strong desire, the thing that's interesting about a subject, especially about a beast or about a baby who has not yet picked up on the patterns of resistance that you might have if you've been around for a while, is that when they ask, it is given, and there is more likelihood that they will receive what they've asked for. In other words, we would like to flip this whole question upside down and point out to you the absurdity of anyone being sick and not finding an immediate path to wellness. That's really what's odd. Because when you ask, it is always given. And so think about a baby who is asking, who's not so far from remembering that when you ask, it's always given.
Right.
The freaky thing is when you don't let yourself recover. That's what's really freaky. Because everything else is queued up for your powerful rebalancing and your powerful redefining and re-becoming.